Oh, hello. Doctor Who is a British institution that's lasted for decades, six to be specific, between 1963 and 2025. That's 62 years, 15-ish Doctors, 41 seasons, 892 episodes, 390 stories, one movie, a runtime around 500 hours, which is about a month, and despite all of that time and all of that legacy, they managed to ruin it in the last 5 seconds.
Hey, did you hear Doctor Who got cancelled?
After last season, I'm not surprised.
Now, it's probably important to start by saying Doctor Who has died. They were making it, they had to stop making it because they couldn't make it anymore. We have no new episodes planned, no showrunner, and for the first time since 1969, we have no current Doctor. Maybe, as a lot of people are saying, it will come back in a few years' time. Maybe it will, who knows, but the era of the show that started in 2005 with Christopher Eccleston has now, like classic Who back in the 80s, ended. And as you'd probably expect, if you've ever interacted with a Doctor Who fan before, some of us have some pretty strong opinions about this. For some reason, the fandom seems pretty united on the fact that this is a good thing, and quite frankly I do not agree at all. I mean, the argument that time away will make the show better just seems mad to me. Yeah, the 2005 series was phenomenal, but so was the very end of Classic Who. The show could always be right on the edge of a new golden age. We can't know if a break would lead to that or not. I do agree with most fans that a completely new creative team would be great, something completely new, but if that were to happen, I don't see why cancelling it for a few years before bringing new people on would help. The ratings jump from the end of the Capaldi era to the start of Jodie shows that it's very possible to build hype around the show even without resting it. Even in the current situation where the most likely next showrunner, if there would be one, would probably be Pete McTeague, a writer heavily involved with RTD2, I'd still absolutely say it makes more sense to keep it going with the same people if that's possible. Then, if one day a new team can be found, there would still be some momentum behind it. It would be much easier to launch a new era a year or so after RTD2 if RTD2 had ended, well, if it had ended in any other way than with that cliffhanger, and keeping the show going would at least provide a different ending and a way forward from it. I obviously get the fact that it's been cancelled before and came back stronger, but also, I don't want to wait 16 years for that. Have you guys felt how hot it is in the UK right now? 16 years from now, who knows if the UK will still be above sea level? And even if we are, I'm sure we'll have more pressing issues than bringing back Doctor Who. Oh no, East Anglia's fallen into the ocean, but someone get on the phone to the BBC if they're not also currently on fire. It's been 16 years again, time to drag that old police box out of storage, fresh lick of paint, it'll be good as new, I'm sure. Obviously, there's a section of the community just happy to see it die, and not that they want it to come back stronger. There has always been a chunk of the fandom that have been wanting the show to die since it fell off or actually died in 2022, or 2017, or 2013, or 2010, or 1996, or 1989, or 1985.
Rubbish. Absolute rubbish. What do they know?
If you don't believe, then look!
No!
Doctor Who fans have always hated change, and the idea that the show's best days are behind it has long been part of the community. What have you done to BBC One's Doctor Who? Of all the stupid nonsense, why turn a wonderful series into what looked like Coco the Clown? I think you'll find thousands of children will not be watching Doctor Who, which up to now has been the tops. This review is from 1966, after the first Doctor became the second. That is someone saying the show is past it, 60 years ago. The hateful side of the fandom is always going to be there, saying the show is dead. Just because they happen to be right about it this time doesn't make them right about everything else. I mean, a stop clock is right twice a day. If you say the show is going to die for 20 years, I guess you can claim it as a win when it actually does. So no, I don't think the show should be dead, or needs to be dead. It just is. The other side of the fandom is now just kind of living in denial a bit. I felt the same in the months before the Christmas special was cancelled, where it just obviously was not going to happen.
And I'm having a nice time. I'm kind of not rushing to write the next thing. I'm going to start now. Tiptoe, we finished work on that next week, and I'll start writing the next one. So that script will take a few months, then we'll start talking to people about it. So I won't be back filming anything until next year, really.
People were adamant he meant he just wasn't filming his own projects this year, or some other stupid explanation like that. Like he was talking about Tiptoe Series 2 here, but there is no Tiptoe Series 2. No matter the evidence, people were just adamant to believe all was fine, and people were getting pretty annoyed at anyone suggesting the special might be cancelled.
Last night, the fan podcast Radio Free Scaro, they claimed that the Christmas special was not happening at all and actually never got past the idea stage, and that the announcement, the press release announcing that a Christmas special was coming, was only put out to get ahead of the War Between the Land promo tour, because the BBC knew that people were going to be asking about Doctor Who during that time, so they wanted to get ahead of that, and that it's actually just a joke made at a party that went too far, essentially. Again, what? You know what, I'm going to quote myself from last week. What a load of bollocks. Do you seriously think that the BBC are going to put out an official statement, an official announcement that isn't true? That's harmful to them as a company.
Also, I'm sorry, Who Culture, this isn't meant as an insult, I just need an example. Love you guys, keep up the good work. Now, obviously I much prefer the overly optimistic side of the fandom to the angry side. Getting told I'm wrong by someone with more joy and whimsy in their heart than me is far, far, far better than getting told the same by someone looking to bury Doctor Who so they can piss on its grave. Also, getting proved wrong on this would mean Doctor Who is coming back, and there is nothing I would love to be embarrassingly wrong over more. The idea that everything is completely fine is also the take of the people behind the show. Well, technically the people who were up until recently behind the show, but I find that more annoying than coming from the fans. Now, I love Russell T Davies, I really do. I met him a few weeks ago and he was absolutely lovely. It was at this talk he gave where there wasn't any meet and greet planned after it because it was too late in the day, but he decided to do one anyway and stayed meeting fans until well past 1 AM. I was one of the last people to meet him and he was still so energetic and so kind, even that late. He even drew me this, so I will not stand for any attacks on him as a person, or even as a writer, to be honest. If you haven't seen Tiptoe yet, go watch that before you say he's lost it. However, the lies that this is all fine is really what has annoyed me most. As someone who was 100% on board with RTD2 as it came out, to be told this is how everything was meant to play out sucks, because it clearly wasn't. In 2022, Russell said, "It takes a while to get the Empire in shape, but that's a serious plan. Annual Doctor Who, no gap years, lots of content, on and on and on, yes please." Followed by the post-reality war.
It was always the plan to do this amount of seasons.
I mean, what? I understand no one wanted the show to be canned, but to get invested in this era, in the characters and in the plot lines, then to have it all just end, quite clearly unfinished, just feels bad. To have the hope of a Christmas special dangled in front of us just to get the fans to shut up for a few months, really adds to the feeling of being conned. Then to be told that the special was never happening, to be told by Russell, "For the record, there was no script. I never wrote it, and no actor was ever approached to play the next Doctor. You may disagree. Fine. Sit in that chair and wait to be proved right. You'll wait a long time." What? Russ, that's just mean. All I'm asking for is resolutions to the plot lines, to your plot lines. All I'm asking for is for this era of the show to be finished, because that is what it is, unfinished. We have been given half of a product. That is why the message the show will come back doesn't mean that much to me, because you literally left this era unfinished and lied about it. How can I watch the reality war knowing full well Susan's return was edited out? They got Carol Ann Ford back into Doctor Who, and they edited her out. Carol Ann Ford hasn't properly been back in Doctor Who since 1964, and they edited her out. How can I watch any of this era when all of the plot lines are just not resolved, and the few that are clearly last minute changes? This era does not work, not because Russell has lost it, or because Shooty was bad, but because it is literally just not finished. Shooty never saw a Dalek. That is the one thing he said he wanted to do when he became the Doctor, and it never happened. That is the one enemy that every Doctor has a chance to fight, and he never did. That just sucks. Who is Ruby's mother? Who cares? Why can she make it snow? Doesn't matter. Who is Mrs. Flood? Sod it. Make her the Rani. Who even cares anymore? What the hell is going on with Poppy? She's Belinda's daughter now. How can we be expected to be on board with this era as an audience when we get treated like idiots? This era has given the message to viewers that they shouldn't get invested in any of the plot lines because literally none of them will be resolved. The boss? The Master and a Tooth? Bi-Generation? Rogue? All those fourth wall breaks? I'm genuinely trying to think of one, just one plotline from this era that was properly resolved. And I don't think there is one, which is mad. You guys like Billie Piper, right? You guys liked her when she was on your telly last time, so we'll just bring her back, like we did with Tennant. Don't you just love it when Thing You Know is back? Didn't you just love it when you liked this show? Didn't you? Don't you just love to watch the keys jangle in front of your eyes? Maybe it makes sense that the only confirmed Doctor Who now will be on CBeebies, because this decision is basically like throwing a baby sensory video up in front of the fans, so maybe we'll shut up for half an hour. I mean, this video is from the perspective that the Billy Piper cliffhanger will never be resolved. But like, God, it wouldn't have been good if it was resolved the second they aired Billy Piper knew who was dead. Either the way it's happened now, or a few specials with her to jangle some more keys in front of the audience before the BBC sells the house and we don't even have keys to jangle with anymore. You just cannot have Billy Piper be the Doctor. It just doesn't work. It breaks the show. I should probably clarify this is not an issue with Billy Piper. She is great. The issue is, obviously, that she played Rose. When they brought Tennant back for the 60th, I defended that. That was an anniversary. I know a lot of people didn't like that he was 10 and 14, but I felt like it was a new spin on the returning Doctor's idea that is built in to happen every 10 years. With Billy Piper, there is no defence. It is just desperate fan service. Any episode she would be in would just be focused on the past. Now, that was true for Tennant's return as well, but again, that was an anniversary. Doctor Who has survived as long as it has because of change.
The thing about Doctor Who is that it's ancient. It's ancient. It's like the pyramids or something in terms of television. it's old text. It's ancient machine, but every single piece of it is new. It's an old thing made out of new things. It's always a new Doctor. It's always a new companion. It's always a new TARDIS set. It's always a new writer, a new producer, a new director. Every piece of it you're looking at is new. If you can be old and new at the same time, then you have all the advantage of myth and all the novelty of invention at once.
Clearly Moffat hasn't been watching for the past few years. Always a new Doctor, always a new companion, always a new writer. He is completely correct though. That is how the show has survived. And it's the only way the show will continue to survive. Billy Piper was the Doctor, whether it has been as a cameo at the end of the reality war, or even if she did get an actual run, is a dead end. It represents the death of the show. The only way to reboot it again would be to ignore that cliffhanger. To have all that happen, then to still be told, no, it's not cancelled. You're crazy if you think it has been.
And I think, I'm not in charge of this process, that means many years ahead. No one's going to put out to tender, no one's going to apply for a tender for 1 year. It's not worth it.
Yeah, you've got to lock in.
You've got to lock in just to make it financially worthwhile. So I think this guarantees years of the programme. But no, go ahead and call it cancelled if you want. You're wrong. You're literally wrong.
Russell, my guy, we know there was meant to be a third series. In summer 2024, you said, I'm working on the fourth script now for Series 3. It's not actually commissioned, that's still up in the air. But that's the same for every TV programme. I shouldn't say we're confident, because that's asking for a fall, but we're very confident, to be honest, and we'll just keep going. That was you that said that, Russell. That kind of goes against the idea that...
It was always the plan to do this amount of seasons.
Oh, but what if he just meant a third series without Shooty? Firstly, I don't see one of those anywhere right about now. And secondly, Russell also said, Shooty's off to do a play, and so we're coming back after that. Amazingly, we might be shooting those scripts early next year, 2025. Those scripts have to be ready by August for prep. Doctor Who has not been cancelled. It has also not been renewed. It's a secret third thing, both definitely 100% the BBC's main show that they wouldn't dare stop producing, but also it hasn't been in production for years now. It is quite the enigma. On the whole, I love every other era of the show, because they are complete entities, all with stories and episodes that I love, and despite how much of Shooty's run I really liked, I cannot consider it on the same level as all the other eras, as they are finished stories in a way that Shooty's will never be. Even when it was cancelled in the 80s, Colin and Sylvester both ended without regenerations, sure, but after self-contained eras that I would consider a finished product. Imagine if the Tennant era finished on Utopia, or Smith's on A Good Man Goes to War, or Capaldi's on Face the Raven. Even when Jodie's got cut short by COVID, they salvaged Series 13. Whatever people say about her era, it is finished. It works as television, which is such a low bar, and the fact that this era has fallen below it is incredibly disappointing. I didn't expect RTD2 to be the best era of the show, but I could never have imagined it would end in such a pathetic way. Maybe Doctor Who will come back. Maybe it won't. That's not what I mean when I say Doctor Who has died. This era has bagged the show into such a corner that any future episodes will be forced to reboot the show, like 2005. This era has made it impossible for a Series 15, or Season 3, or whatever. Basically, Doctor Who is dead because it cannot continue from here. Now, I love Ncuti and I love Russell, but it just feels like we were robbed, and of all of that, that sadness and that desperation is portrayed by this moment. Classic Doctor Who ended in 1989. Similarly to 2025, the creatives decided to have one last-minute addition to the last episode to make it more fitting. There are worlds out there where the sky is burning, where the seas are asleep and the rivers dream, people made of smoke and cities made of song, somewhere there's danger, somewhere there's injustice, somewhere else the tea's getting cold. Come on, Ace, we've got work to do. Sylvester McCoy's monologue as the old show ended is a highlight of Doctor Who. Truly, I could not think of a better way for the show to end. Billy Piper, on the other hand, is so very embarrassing. One more plotline that will never be resolved. The show not going out with respect and dignity, and with an ending that fits its truly great 20-year run, but a desperate attempt to claw back the viewers. If it wasn't for these last few seconds, sure, Ncuti still got cheated out of an era, it would still be unfinished, and that would absolutely suck. But the show would still have dignity. It would have gone out well. Obviously, I'd love for the show to come back, but this is the worst of both worlds. We've got a truly terrible cliffhanger ending without any continuation, an ending that will never, and should never, be resolved. I just want to know, why do this? Then why lie that it was always the plan? I understand, at the end of the day, Doctor Who is just a show and doesn't matter that much, but it clearly matters enough to lie about it all. I'm not saying RTD had to come out and say, whoops, we ruined it, sorry guys, but I'd have much rather they just didn't address it. We all know it didn't go to plan. We don't need a press release to tell us that. Just don't go on this gaslighting campaign that the fans are all crazy for expecting the basic rule of storytelling to be followed, and that when episodes are announced that they'll be made. I understand why they didn't air the original ending of the reality war. They knew there wouldn't be a season 3 and they just wanted to act like all was fine. But I think it would have been far wiser to just release the original ending.
Your recent appearance, because I think fans were expecting to see a bit more of you than they did. Did you film?
Sorry to disappoint them.
Did you film a few more scenes than actually?
Yeah, well, I think enough people out there know by now that something extra was filmed and wasn't shown. So yes, of course, there were a couple more episodes, which, because of some changes that had to be made, didn't make sense. Once the changes had been made, didn't actually make sense. So they obviously had to film something else that went with those changes. Shame, though, I'd love to have done it. And the bit I did do, I really enjoyed doing. And I loved seeing it. I sort of looked as though I was floating in space. And you still got to find me, Grandfather. I'm waiting for that.
You didn't see the episode, which was to sort of introduce my coming back, where I was holding hands with a little, beautiful little tiny black child, 3 years old, and we were watching through the window somewhere where the audience wasn't supposed to know where we were supposed to be, and we were watching my newly embodied grandfather, who is now Ncuti, and watching him have a wonderful time singing and dancing in a party in a shop opposite where we were. And obviously, my character Susan, was longing to just go in there and fling her arms around her grandfather and say, "Grandfather, how lovely it is to see you after all this time. How did you survive your floating about in space? And why have you changed?" That is a quote from Carol Ann Ford describing the original ending of the reality war and her scenes within it. Obviously, I get that that's not an ending, but you know what? Neither is what we got. Yes, it may have been embarrassing to end on a cliffhanger, but I cannot fathom why they tried to get around that by ending on just a different cliffhanger. I fully believe the reaction wouldn't be nearly as bad if RTD and Bad Wolf aired the original episode, announced they were leaving with a little press release, and just went. It honestly feels like they thought if they were just quiet enough, no one would notice there was no season 3. Obviously, fading to black with the ending they did use would also have been just so much better than the ending we got. Basically, what I'm trying to say is they chose quite literally the worst option available to them. It is truly astonishing. This is why Doctor Who is dead now. This is why it died. These last 5 seconds. If it wasn't for that, you could claim Doctor Who was just on a break for a few years. You could claim RTD2 went to plan. You could still claim all of this is fine and that the show will be back, that it will pick up after Shooty. But now you can't. If the show does come back, acknowledging that cliffhanger would be a terrible idea. You cannot have a fresh new era starting from that point. Any new production team has been really screwed over by the last. Ignoring that cliffhanger will be very tough though. The second it's announced someone is taking over, all people will want to know about is Billie Piper. As the writer, what do? It's your responsibility now. Do you tell the story you want to? Make the Doctor how you want? Or do you give in to all the pressure to explain that and ruin the start of this new era? I really hope if the show does come back in a few years, whoever is running it chooses the right path and just starts fresh, like 2005. Especially if that production begins in the next few years, that might be a tough thing to do. Good luck, Mr. McTeague. Ultimately, of course, the show could be gone for such a long time that no one remembers a cliffhanger, which is entirely possible. God, this is all so stupid. That is why I wanted to make this video. To say that this sucks. With the entire community either happy that the show is dead or in denial that we are currently on the thinnest ice we've been on for decades, and to be constantly told that we are wrong to think that there would be a resolution to the cliffhanger, that we were wrong to think there'd be a Christmas special, and now that we're crazy for thinking the show is gone.
But no, go ahead and call it cancelled if you want. You're wrong. You're literally wrong.
I just put so much energy and time into this era, and I've really felt a loss with how it's all ended. I am aware that Doctor Who is just a show, but I've been so very on board with this era. As literally anyone who has talked to me for more than 10 minutes will tell you, it has meant a lot to me, and I'm just sad about it. Maybe the show will come back. I really hope it does, and that it gives me a new era to get equally dedicated to. But the fact that this one died like that, and took New Who with it, it's just sad. That is what I've been feeling about Doctor Who since the reality war. Just sad. I felt I had to make this video to explain why. Against the backdrop of everything is fine, I wanted to make my case as to why it isn't. Why I feel Doctor Who has died, and why that is sad. That is where the original script for this video ended. Quite a bleak note to end on, I know, but that's just how I was feeling when I was writing it. But as I was about wrapping up the process of making this video, BBC Studios have said that they will enter and want to win the tender process to produce Doctor Who. I would love to say that that means all is good again and that the show has a secure future, but we are still a long, long way from that. There will still be years before a new era could be ready, and in that time any number of roadblocks could stop this production in its tracks. I mean, the BBC haven't even put the show out to tender yet. I think they probably will, but let's be real, after everything else, I'm sure they would have no issue saying they would tender it, even with no plans of doing so. That would be a good way of stopping making it without officially cancelling it. But the fact that BBC Studios does want to make it again does mean there is some hope, some potential future where there is a fresh new era, where that cliffhanger can be forgotten as a weird oddity of the past, and Doctor Who can come back again.
You see these poor souls on YouTube or whatever ranting away about something. I think you don't. I don't mean this in a critical way. I mean a straightforward, accurate way. You don't know what you're talking about. You just don't know. The way I don't know about golf. But I have not started a YouTube channel, although I might, explaining where golfers are going wrong.
If you made it this far, I just want to say thank you for watching. I very much appreciate that. This video took me a lot longer to make than I was expecting. I don't know if I'll end up making any more. I guess that kind of depends if anyone watches this one. My goal is that it gets more views than hours it took to make. But yeah, if you want to see more, subscribe and all that, and thank you for getting to the end. I also just want to say thank you to the GOAT DWFan91 for answering many questions I had about YouTube and giving the video a little preview to make sure it's not too insane. And yeah, maybe I will see you in the next one.